Speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have. And I'm especially proud and inspired by all the women who have felt strong enough and empowered enough to speak up and share their personal stories.
And welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. And I am Shanrae. All right, give me a minute. I'm working a couple of different platforms, so I need to kind of catch up with my own self right now. But this is week 2, part 2 of speaking your truth, and this week's subtopic is in detail. So this is a open forum. And so you're encouraged to comment or to, if you ask questions, or even if you want to give any scenarios, I will pause and I will make room for you to, I will give room to acknowledging your comments or your questions or whatever it may be. Give me one moment. I need to share this. As you come in, please like and share. Again, welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I am Shanrae. This is week 2. I'm telling you, this month goes by so fast. This is week 2, part 2 of speaking your truth in detail. All righty then. I gotta share one more time. Give me one more minute, and then we're gonna move this along. This is a 30-minute platform. This is my give back. I am a degree counselor, and let me magnify. Hold on, let me add this to the stream. Okay, I'm a degree counselor, and I did acquire my degrees from Ashford University. Let me get on Facebook really quick. Excuse me. Yeah, let me get on Facebook very quickly. All righty then, so I can see your comments. All right. I'm moving so quickly. I'm trying to catch up with everything that I am doing. Okay. Here we go. All righty then. Are we live? Okay. All righty then. I'm a degree counselor. I did acquire my degrees from Ashford University. I want to read a little bit of my short bio. Okay, so I'm a degree counselor, like I just stated, from with a dual Bachelor of Science degree in counseling or psychology and organizational management from Ashford University. My great passion is bringing healing to people who have been through a traumatic or a stressful experience. And who has not? We all have. But this is what I like to do. So when human beings experience trauma or severe life stressors, it's not uncommon for their lives to unravel. So I help clients who include children, adults, and families to find healthy perceptions of themselves and strengthen their relationships so that they can know themselves as peaceful, complete, whole, and safe. All righty, then let's move this along because this 30 minutes is going to go by very quickly. Let me read my counseling, my disclaimer to you. And I'm trying to find this because I don't want to miss anyone's comments. I'm trying to find this right now on Facebook. Okay, come on. It's not popping up. No, okay. Oh, there we go. Hi, CJ. Good evening. It's so good to see you. All righty then. So please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to the changes in policies, that all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself or any other counselor or any other counseling services are subject to the limitations of current and available material. But the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you, the individual. Information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information does change frequently, and it is recommended that you, the individual, will consult another physician, another specialist, and or religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness. All right, let's move this along. I'm a Christian counselor. So the scripture that I've chosen for this month, it comes from John chapter 8, verses 32 from the English Standard Version. And it says, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay, so this week it's I'm speaking, or all month on speaking your truth, but this week the subtitle is with details. Okay, and so tonight we're going to shift just a little bit. I'm going to open this up so you can see the definitions and how what I chose. Because of course they have multiple definitions in the dictionary of certain things. But for truth, I chose that which is true or in accordance with fact or reality. Perspective, I chose a view or prospect. And then tonight we're going to be talking about selective memory, which is a euphemistic terminology. And the definition for selective memory is an ability to remember some facts while apparently forgetting others, especially when those facts are inconvenient for you. So tonight we're going to open this up. Good evening, Lady Demora. It's so good to see you. Tonight we're going to be talking about selective memory along with this. Let me open this up once again. Our key points on tonight that I'm going to be hitting on is blurred truth is still the truth. That's number one. We're going to talk a little bit about Miller's Law. I had mentioned that last week, talked a little bit about Miller's Law, and then I talked a little bit about a Freudian law, which he talks about two truths. And I'm going to mention that again, where he mentioned about two truths. Sigmund Freud, ethics and integrity theorist. And he talks about there's two truths. When you see a child that is truthful and honest, that means that they're a reflection of their environment, whoever's raising them, their parents or their caregiver. And then the second truth is when you see a child that lies constantly, or as a storyteller or a fibber, as the old school used to say, that means that whoever they're under the care of, their caregiver or their parent, they're getting they're the direct image of who's raising them. So if you see a child that's lying and stuff like that, then they get that honestly from whoever is rearing them. If you see a child that's telling the truth, then they're a direct replica of who is raising them. And that is Sigmund Freud's law in theory. We're going to be talking about, like I said, selective memory and 6 potential triggers of the selective memory. And then, of course, we're going to always end with your final thoughts. So, again, this is an open platform, and you are more than welcome then to if you want to ask a question, if you want to give a scenario, I will pause and we will get down to it. Good evening, Tina. How are you? Good evening, Lady Demora. Good evening, Janelle. How are you? Okay, so let's talk about the definition of speaking your truth. And I've been highlighting Oprah Winfrey because she is the one who actually oops, I'm sorry. Ooh, I didn't mean for that to happen. Oprah Winfrey is the one who really made that terminology kind of popular, speaking your truth. But what she meant by when she said this is that she meant to say typically something more like sharing your perspective, telling your story, opening up about your experiences. And the important part of speaking a personal truth that some people do miss, she says, is that realizing that it also means listening to other people's personal truths or their personality or their personal experiences. So that's what she's the one who kind of made that statement kind of very well known, and people just ran with it. You know, I'm going to speak my truth, and which is okay to do that. All right, let me open this up just a little bit. So let's talk about blurred truth is still the truth. Now, this theory comes from Dr. Jack Schaefer. Dr. Jack Schaefer. And he talks about let people's words do the talking for them. And let me see if anyone is saying anything. Hey, okay. Okay, the champ. Good evening, champ. All right. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Let's open up a little bit about Miller's Law. George Miller is a Princeton professor and a respected psychologist. Let's move this like this. And he's the one that formulated the golden rule of communication. Okay, so Miller Law states that to understand what another person is saying, you must first assume what the person said is true, right? And then try to imagine what could be true of, because practiced liars routinely use Miller's Law to create an illusion or create the illusion of truth, but the truth about what? Okay, now we as people naturally, we're going to give people the benefit of the doubt. Most people are not just going to assume when someone is talking to you or telling you something that they're lying. A lot of times we're going to give people an opportunity to show us who they really are. Right. And so this is where it comes, Miller's Law comes in at. So he actually gave a personal scenario, which I love. Dr. Miller said that his oldest son had demonstrated that even a 7-year-old can instinctively use Miller's Law to deceive somebody, a 7-year-old. So it says, as punishment for some misdeed, he sent his son to his room after dinner without dessert. And this is Dr. Miller's son, and this is his grandson he's talking about. He said early that afternoon, they made his favorite dessert, his grandson's favorite dessert, which was chocolate chip cookies. At about 7 o'clock that evening, he said he heard a pajama-clad feet heading toward the kitchen, and the pantry door opened up. Then the clink of the cookie jar lid was unmistakably opened. He said he knew that his grandson was taking a cookie, and then he crept into the kitchen and opened up the door. And there he sat. His grandson sat. He said, and he said, I did not catch him in the act of taking the cookie, but there were cookie crumbs on his face and hands, and the cookie jar was tightly positioned between his crossed legs. And the conversation went like this. So this is Dr. Schaefer. This is Dr. Schaefer. Lady Purvis says it's a lot of that Miller's Law going on. Oh my gosh. Unfortunately, Lady Purvis, more so than what should happen. And it's a shame. It's unfortunate that most people would practice telling untruths than truths. So okay, Dr. Schaefer said he said to the grandchild, he said, "Did you take a cookie?" And the grandson said, "No, I didn't take a cookie." So then he looked at the grandson and said, "Don't lie to me." He said, "Don't lie to me, son." And so the grandson said, "I didn't take a cookie." He said, "I didn't take a cookie," to his father. So then the son said, well, his son, Dr. Schaefer's son said, "Well, how can you lie with cookie crumbs on your hands and on your face?" And so now Dr. Schaefer's son, he's an FBI special agent. So he said it could get heinous criminal to confess, is what he's saying, is that he knows how to investigate things because he's an FBI special agent. So he said he knows how to get his son to confess the truth. So he said he sat him in a chair and they had a heart-to-heart chat. He said a few minutes later, the son admitted with guilt. He said, "I then focused on the lack of candor." He asked the son, "Well, why did you lie to me, son?" The son said, "I didn't lie to you, Dad. You asked me if I took a cookie." He said, "I didn't take a cookie. I took 2 cookies." So I'm gonna leave that there for a minute. I'm gonna leave that right there for a minute. Hold, I'm trying to see if I. All right. He said, "I didn't take a cookie. I took 2 cookies." Okay. So, according to Miller's Law, his son did not lie to him. He said he told him the truth, but the truth about what? That's it. He said he restricted his definition of a cookie to mean 1 cookie, singular, not plural. Okay. Okay. And then he said the first cookie that he took fits the definition of a cookie. But the grandson instinctively used Miller's Law to restrict the definition of the words 2 cookies. 2. Okay, to exclude the lesser, which included the 1 cookie. All right. So Miller's Law is like that. People can turn a lie into a truth to them, but it is still a lie, because the main thing, the main question was, did you take the cookie? Yes, he took more than one cookie. Right. So that's Miller's law, term making anything look like the truth when it's a lie. Good evening, Esther. And Esther's laughing. She said, I knew he was going to say that. Right. He took two cookies. Right. Okay, so what is selective memory? Let's go into this. And this theory, this teaching, this findings is from Michelle Overman, who's a licensed marriage and family therapist. All right, so simply put, selective memory is a person's ability to remember certain information and not remember other information. It can be the punchline of many jokes, like when a spouse gets upset with their partner about maybe forgetting to take the garbage out, and they might indignantly being indignant, saying that I always take out the trash, which is not true. Okay, because in reality they have forgotten to take out the trash just a few days ago. And in that case, a person is selecting information that they want to remember while forgetting the rest. All right, let me move this along so y'all can see this. Okay, selective memory. All right, so selective memory implies that a certain amount of intentionality is behind it. And we know that when it comes to selective memory. All right, so it often involves the choice to only remember certain facts or events. The brain is powerful and can even incite the selective memory process. So at times it can happen in instances of trauma. We do, a lot of us have maybe even seen maybe a movie of someone who had amnesia or selective memory during trauma, a head trauma or something like that, or something else. Sometimes someone that experienced abuse when they were younger might not remember what happened in full details, but the brain does help you to forget traumatic moments that would bring tremendous pain. Okay, through the memory. Let me see if someone is saying something. All right, so let's do an overview, a quick overview of selective memory. I'm going to open this up really quick so y'all can see this, and then we're going to go back. Okay, then we're going to go back. This is an overview of a selective memory. All right, and this teaching and this finding is by Dr. Nadia Khan, and also medically reviewed by Aaron Horn, Dr. Horn. Most people have heard of the term selective memory at least one time in their lives, but generally this is used critically or sarcastically. But nevertheless, the ability to truly understand the ins and outs of selective memory and all that it entails can truly come in handy. All right, so let me see if anyone is saying anything. All right. First and foremost, selective memory, also sometimes referred as selective amnesia, is clinically defined as the ability to retrieve certain facts or events, but not others. So, in most cases, an individual who genuinely experiences selective amnesia may forget certain significant events or milestones in their lives, such as skills, friendships, relationships, abilities, or even prior traumatic experiences, like we said a little bit earlier. So, let's talk about 6 potential triggers of a selective memory, because we all trust me, we all have experienced having a selective memory at some point. Let's look at these 6 triggers, and I'm going to read this really quick, and then I'm going to close it down just a little bit. Number one, imbalanced emotions cause selective memory. Poor nutrition can cause selective memory. Human willpower can cause selective memory. Diseases, disorders, and aging can cause selective memory. Personality traits and selective memory can cause selective memory. And then narcissism, which that's a whole different breakdown and finding right there, can cause a selective memory. All right, so I'm going to break it down as we go along. Many scientists and psychologists have devoted countless hours to studying selective memory and potential factors that can trigger its occurrence. Even though new research is conducted each day, there's an article that they're pointing out called Frontiers in Psychology, noted that emotional influences can either enhance or impair learning and retention of new information. All right. So imbalanced emotions. Number one. Let's see if anyone's saying something. Esther said, would you say selective is used for a protection? Oh, yes. Yes. A lot of times, selective memory, when you use it as a protection barrier, it's because you have experienced something traumatic in your life. Again, and they always, well, the easiest thing to point out is abuse, physical, any form of abuse. A lot of times, people do forget certain details of what happened to them because their mind automatically starts to protect them because you don't want to lose your mind. You don't want to get to the point where you're dysfunctional, where you can't function, where you're mentally dysfunctional because of a traumatic experience that may have happened to you. So yes, selective memory a lot of times is used as a protection barrier. That was a great question, Esther. All right. Imbalanced emotions is one of the reasons why people have a selective memory. Individuals who have personality disorders, and there are a lot of different personality disorders that run up under. I mean, you got histrionic. It's a whole category of them. Or other similar ailments may be more susceptible to emotional highs and lows. Good evening, Rigel. How are you? She said, yes, especially when you are sexual. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, now that's a whole different trauma, Rigel. Oh my gosh, a whole different trauma when it comes to, because even that sexual, when you're highly hypersexual, that's a form of control and power, and then selective memory runs even with that because you're only gonna most people who are hypersexual, they're only gonna remember certain things that they have done, because then if you remember everything, a lot of times then you have to get into the pros and cons of integrity, good character, and a lot of people will use selective memory to protect themselves, to help them feel better about themselves, because they know whatever, it could be hypersexual, it could be a hyper like lying or anything like that. They know that that is not really a integrous or good character trait, so they have to find a way to feel better about themselves. Lady Purpose says that my mom had selective memory. She selected to tell me some questions that I asked. Lady Purpose, we're good. Rigel said that's right. Lady Purpose, she said my mom did not like for me to ask her questions about her childhood, growing up, her dad, or anything. Yes, again, that was your mother's her protection barrier. She didn't want to talk about, all of the negative things that she experienced as a child, or maybe even with your dad. And so the best thing for her to do was just not talk about it at all. But unfortunately, you have a bunch of unanswered questions that you needed to know about because it's still a part of your history. Esther said, wow, this is good. It explains a lot. Yeah, yes, I'm telling you. Lady Purvis, and then we can get a little bit more into this really quickly. It says a great example of this is of what I was talking about. That's the ailments that are more susceptible to emotional highs and lows, is bipolar disorder, which is generally associated with manic highs and depressive lows. Extreme emotional highs and lows are moreover linked to mental functions, similar to memory. So people who have various personality disorders may experience a phenomena where their feelings are so intense that they outweigh the proper recollection of an event. Like they're missing stuff. They're missing important facts because of, their emotions are so high and low. So this is clinically known as disassociation, which is regarded as a rather extreme form of selective memory. All right, let me see. Lady Purpose, like you were saying, your mom, I don't know if there's anyone that was a close friend or relative of your mother's that can maybe answer the questions for you. And you are not alone. Lady Purpose, you are not alone. There are a lot of us who have questions, unanswered questions that we need to hear. We needed to hear from our parents, and in my case, my parents are no longer here. So I now have to rely on people that were close to my mom, close to my dad, who can give me some answers and filling in some blanks. Unfortunately, because certain things were a little bit too detrimental, it was a little bit too hard for my mom to talk to me about some things, or my dad, he died when I was so young, so he wasn't there to answer a lot of questions, you know. But if there's anyone that's close enough to maybe your mom or your dad and still alive, and if they can remember, ask them the questions, and you'll be surprised what you'll find out. Esther said, oh my God, see, this is what I was diagnosed as. It was not a mistake seeing you tonight. Rigel said, me too. Rigel, yes, we are childhood friends, Rigel and I. So, and we come from my grandfather's church. So our parents were very similar, as far as Christian wise. And so certain things they believed never to speak of. So we were just missing out on a lot of detrimental information, Rigel, because our parents, you know, Christians, they were taught you don't speak about certain things. So that was a part of our Christian upbringing. So we missed out on some important things with that too. Okay, number 2, poor nutrition. Another potential factor involved in selective memory comes in the form of poor dieting. And it is true, guys. Diet does play a big role in memory and mood and all kinds of things. Rigel said, "I don't really want no anymore." I understand, Rigel. Some things are best left alone. Yes. The food that people consume impacts their lives in more ways that they can begin to imagine. Therefore, it should come as no surprise that certain foods can have long-term adverse impacts on an individual's memory and disturb their thinking capabilities. Let me see. Good evening, Willard. How are you? A Lady Purpose said, my dad tells me things, but he and my mom were not together and they were not married. My mother has one living sister um, in New York, but she doesn't remember a lot, but she seems to share what she knows. Willard, it's so good to see you. Lady Purvis, continue to talk to your aunt, because the good thing about memory, selective memory, is when you're talking to your aunt, certain things are going to come up that she didn't tell you before, and then you're going to get it. You're going to get some more information. So continue to talk to your aunt and continue to talk to your dad. He's gonna eventually wind up opening up to you about some things, especially if you let him know that it's important to you. That you really do. This is going to help you connect the dots. So continue to talk with them. All right. So it says that preservatives, processed foods, drinks, chemical additives, and food with high amounts of sugar are all linked to negative effects on the brain. And for this reason, the consumption of healthy foods, fruits, fish, vegetables, poultry is strongly encouraged. Processed sugary foods may taste good, however, that doesn't mean that they are good. Now, a lot of us on here love you too, Willard. Thank you. A lot of people, we all like what we like. I'm a cookie fanatic. I like cookies. Cookies is high in sugar. We know when we eat stuff that's high in sugar, we get real tired, or high in grease. We're gonna fry something. After we finish eating, we need a long nap. Y'all know that's not good. You should not feel tired and exhausted after eating a meal. So, it does, it gives you brain fog. You can't function. If you eat heavy at work and then you go during lunchtime and you try to go back, you can't even perform well on your job because of the food that you ate. Esther said, I like to eat, period. We all do. We all love to eat, but we just gonna have to pick and choose how we eat it, when we gonna eat it, when we gonna, they tell you don't eat your heaviest meal at night before you go to bed or whatever like that. Sometimes you gotta eat your heaviest meal in the evening because you can't eat your heavy meal at work during the daytime. So if you can adjust your hours, don't eat so close to dinner time or whatever like that, and then just pick and choose from there. Lorenzo, good evening, Lorenzo. How are you? Keep a journal when talking to older family. Yes. Oh my gosh. Or use your recorder. Record the conversation. And you will be surprised how many pieces of the puzzle that they throw. Now, hold on. that they throw at you. You are so right, Lorenzo. You are so right. That's very imperative when you're speaking to an older family member. Record the conversation or keep a pad and pen. Sometimes they're talking so fast until you really do need to record what they're saying. All right, number 3 is human willpower. People do have the power to repress and eventually forget certain memories or aspects of their lives. Intentionally repressing a memory for long enough can cause one person to forget. This occurs because the brain becomes active when someone purposefully works to forget something. Again, Esther, that's that protective barrier. That's that protective barrier. So while selective memory is generally regarded as a negative happening, there are certain instances where it can come in handy. So a great example of this is in cases of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, or other painful events that may do more harm than good. It is inadvisable to repress memories um, as a manner of dealing with challenges from your past. So, but unresolved buried issues tend to fester and ooze now. So out in unhealthy manners. So if they're not dealt with, you're eventually going to have to deal with these unpleasant happenings. You're going to have to deal with it. And I strongly suggest, because I am a counselor, go and sit down with a counselor. Go sit down with the counselor. And like I said, I'm a CBT, I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist. I give homework assignments, I give strategies, I give physical things that you can work through to help you work through whatever you're trying to overcome. And so they have different types of therapists. You have online therapists, they have phone therapists that you can put in a phone call and talk to them. Talk to a therapist that can help you get through and over whatever it is that is unhealthy for you. So, therefore, handling problems as they arise is better, much more constructive than simply attempting to forget them. However, human willpower is sometimes a competent, uh, a component that can prompt or enable selective memory. Number 4, let me see if someone is saying something. Number 4 says diseases, disorders, and aging causes selective memory. Like Lady Purvis and Lorenzo, y'all was saying earlier about age. So the human brain and body are always changing, but unfortunately, not all changes are good, especially as people age. Many side effects of aging can manifest in the form of memory problems. Sadly, one symptoms of various memory issues can be selective memory or a form of it. So common memory disorders, as we know, of nature, they include Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, amnesia, stress, and dementia. So let me see if someone said anything. All right. So more often than not, a healthy lifestyle, exercising, a human interaction, nutrition, diet, can serve as a deterrent to the memory above ailments. And then they also have supplements now, like Neuro G and all of that. And listen, guys, I'm starting to take them. I'm starting taking some memory supplements because it's a fact. As you turn a certain age, your memory you start to lose your memory a little bit here and there, or you're a little bit more forgetful or whatever. It's just a part of life. But you do what you do to help yourself, and you're gonna be fine. All right. I'm going to move past this. There's a clinical analysis of selective memory, but we don't have the time. I'm going to move on to number 5, personality traits and selective memory. Good evening, Veronita. How are you? The various forms and clinical analysis regarding selective memory inherently beg the question, are certain personality types more susceptible to selective memory than other people? So individual personality traits may have significant impacts on how someone recalls a prior situation or encounter. So in layman's terms, selective memory is a matter of perception. For instance, people who tend to be more anxious or on edge are likelier to remember a situation in a manner that suits their desires and their wishes. Okay? So personality traits have a lot to do with your memory. If you are like kind of a high being person, your selective memory is going to be very, very animated. Okay, if you just like laid back, you just gonna lay a laid back personality, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna give one, two, three, A, B, C detail. That's it. I was there, it happened, and then I left. Okay, that's their memory, that's their perception. So personality traits have a lot to do with selective memory. Esther said, as you go through explaining, I wonder why they call it selective. When you say selective, you think someone is choosing on purpose. It depends, Esther. It depends on the situation. Now, if a person has amnesia due to a physical trauma, then selective memory, that's something is not selective for them. That's no other choice. I don't know how many of y'all ever saw the movie 51st Dates with Adam Sandler and what's that girl name? 51st Dates. And she had what you call a selective memory problem, but hers came from a car accident. So she can only remember just for one day, and then the next day she had a clean slate. She didn't know what happened. I mean, she had a working long-term memory, which is something different. But selective memory, it depends on the actual what's going on with the person. Now, again, another type of trauma is abuse. Selective memory is a lot of times, in that case, is a protective barrier. It doesn't mean you don't remember details. It just remembers that it's just that you put the bad parts behind, and you can only speak about what you can talk about. And then we're going to talk about the Miller's Law selective memory. Now, the Miller's Law selective, what I said earlier, that you just choosing a lie. You just choosing to give whatever detail. You're going to twist the truth, or you're going to twist the lie and make it seem like the truth. Now that's a whole different story, and that's what we about to move to right here. Okay, Veronita, I'm glad to hear you. Okay, Veronita. Now we get into the last one, narcissism. And that's what I was just talking about with that Miller's Law, that narcissism. So it says that it's in most insidious and malicious forms. Hey, Jamel, 51 dates with Adam Sandler and Drew. Thank you. That's it. And Drew Barrymore. Yes, Jamel. That movie is hysterical, but it gives you a good understanding about a selective memory. But hers was caused by trauma. She was in a bad car accident. Now, Miller's Law, selective memory is on purpose. You're choosing to lie. Okay, narcissism. This is the last point here. It is most insidious and malicious. Uh, yes, Rigel. Lorenzo says that I think selective memory can be voluntary or involuntary. Exactly. And that's what we were talking about. Some is through trauma. That's the involuntary, through trauma. Some is also now, like we said, where you choose to just forget until you put it so back in your memory till you just don't think about it no more. That's voluntary now. And then this Miller's Law is voluntary because you know the truth, but you're choosing now. You're choosing to speak your truth. Which again, is it the truth or not? All right, narcissism. Narcissism says it's in most insidious and malicious forms of selective memory. It's sometimes regarded as a common trait amongst narcissists and other malignantly self-centered individuals. Let's say that again, self-centered individuals. All right. However, when regarding narcissists, selective memory tends to be more calculated. That's that voluntary, more calculated and intentional rather than clinical. All right. Two different things. Narcissists with an agenda may therefore seek to manipulate certain people or circumstances by telling revised versions of an occurrence. They may purposefully leave out certain information or details to cast themselves in a favorable light or paint a picture that simply isn't accurate. However, even amongst narcissists, there are some questions and debates regarding selective memory. So while some individuals maintain that narcissists gleefully lie, and misrepresent situations for the sake of improving their self image. Other people have stated that narcissists truly do believe what they're saying, which that is, and it is a disorder. When you lie to the point that you believe your own lies, that is a clinical issue. It goes into a clinical issue, but that's for another session. Okay. Um, in other words, the latter group believes that narcissists have succumbed to such an intense state of delusion that they have fallen for their own con and believe their claims, regardless of how misleading or duplicitous they may be. All right. So, again, this selective memory or this telling your truth, Rigel says, yes, do lie. They do lie. Um, like Lorenzo said, whether it's your selective memory is voluntary or involuntary, the bottom line is you have to, at some point, you've got to deal with whatever the underlying issue is at some point. Now, again, as being a degree counselor, I'm going to always encourage people to the way that you deal with it is by going and sitting down with a licensed or degree counselor. Sit down and speak with the. I'm not even asking you to sit down with your pastor. Please don't do that. I'm asking you, it is imperative to Lorenzo said this is good. I had to stop my studying to oh, that's so sweet, Lorenzo. I'm telling you now, if your pastor is a licensed clinician or a degree counselor, then if you then do that. But when it comes to different things, such as clinical things or trauma or any kind of stressors, life stressors, sit down with a counselor, a degreed or a licensed counselor, either or, because they are going to, first of all, we're going to get to the root cause of it. And then secondly, we're going to help you get over and through it and learn how to live past whatever traumas and stressors. It is imperative. And people tend to think that there's something wrong with them if you need to sit down with a counselor. No, it is nothing wrong. It means that you, just like you are, people are changing their diet so they can eat healthier and so they can physically be better. If you choose to lose some weight so you can look better in your clothing or feel better, it's the same thing with your mind. You're changing strategies. You're going to get strategies, new strategies to help you think better so you can feel better, you can function better. There's no difference with your mind. A lot of people feel like because you're going and you're treating your mind that something is wrong, and it is not. So I strongly urge anyone, go speak with a licensed or degree counselor. Their job, our education has been built around helping people, giving strategies to overcome, to get through, and to get past certain life stressors. Lorenzo said, oh no, Lady Purvis said, you are absolutely on point. Jamal says, taking the necessary steps in getting better. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. It definitely is. Let me give you all this takeaway, and I'm going to magnify this. So my final thoughts for tonight says, and I'm going to read my whole thing. It says, to some extent, every person has their degree of selective memory. We all do. Okay, so after all, memories are not clear cut. They are not black and white. Two people could witness the same event and still leave with at least somewhat conflicting viewpoints. Every person's thoughts and personal interpretations. Where would I go? Oh, I'm sorry. Interpretations with a oh my gosh, okay, I look like every person's thoughts and personal interpretations are, to some degree, influenced by who they are, how they perceive the world, and their prior experiences. Okay? So, again, we all have experienced selective memory at some point in time in our lives. Okay? Well, this has been, and I ran over. I'm getting ready to run over the fan base, and I'm going to do a quick 10-15 minute session there on fan base, those that are on fan base. And if you can follow me on fan base, it's like Clubhouse, but it's fan base. I'm getting ready to jump on there, and I'm going to do a quick 10-15 minute session on there. So if you happen to be on fan base, just jump on and we can continue this conversation. But this has been Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. Oh, let me go on. I want to thank you all. Okay, let me open this for you all. This is my website references for those fellow theorists or those that want to know where I got my findings and my teachings from. You can always come back and find where I got my theories from. All right, let's move this along. Thank you so much for participating in Counsel of the Day with Shanrae, February 2022. Speaking your truth this month, and then all the subtotals up under it. Subtopics. This week's topic was in details. All right, and Let me move this along. All right, so if there's a past Counsel of the Day with Shanrae series that you missed or you just want to rewatch, you can go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price, subscribe, select any past series to watch, and like it. Excuse me. All right, and last but not least, I am I do professional one-on-one counseling, and I am a degree counselor. So if you're interested in any professional one-on-one counseling services, feel free to contact me via Facebook Messenger at Shanrae Cherie Price or via my email at shanraecherieprice@gmail. I am a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in your life's goals and your life's dreams. All right, we ran over tonight. This has been good. Thank you for your participation, everybody. Love you too, Rigel. Hey, Kasha, how are you? Thank you so much. He said, "Oh, CJ, you so sweet." Okay, I got to run over the fan base right now because I got to do 10-15 minute session over there. I will see you all next Tuesday. That's going to be week 3 of Speaking Your Truth with a different subtopic. I'll see y'all next Tuesday and next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a wonderful week and stay safe. And bye.